Aloha everyone. I hope everyone has heeded my warnings the past week. Actually, the past month. Go read my new positions pages for the past month. You will see that I was worried about the ascent of the uptrend. I was worried about the lack of pullbacks in the uptrend. And I was worried about the rising level bullishness. It's all starting to come to fruition. And as we pull back here, we're just seeing no bounce. Any move whatsoever is being met at resistance lines and being sold immediately. And I've noticed quite noticeably in the futures market, we used to have big pops, consolidate, big pops, consolidate. Now, any V-shaped ramp wedging move whatsoever is hit with a big, ugly red candle bar, and that has been consistent ever since futures rolled over, starting with the Sunday evening gap up. Once the futures opened and gapped up on Sunday evening and then rolled over, it's been nothing but rolling over since. That, along with my scans greatly deteriorating, my perfect speculator scan is still holding up, but it's only looking at the best of the best, and it's been reduced from 520 stocks to 480. Those patterns aren't looking that great. My BOP scan, the lack of patterns is extremely noticeable. They've just fallen off a cliff and disappeared completely. The heavy volume sell-offs, the crashes are just very noticeable. So it's time to take caution. I've been going over my new long positions lately, and after today's session, the trend is now clear for the past few weeks. More are failing, not going anywhere, rolling over from gains than are currently working. There's a few that are still working, but the ones that are, they're not producing enough gains to make up for the ones that are not. So it's time to really call it in. Even my safety positions, VVC and EXC, did not do well immediately, so things aren't working. Now, ANCX did work immediately. This was a bank long. So since banks are still working, I'm long stuff like Caro, I'm long stuff like GNBC, which sold off today, but still 2 days ago gapped up. Because bank stocks are acting like this and new long positions in bank stocks are working, I do have one new long position this evening, and I'm going to definitely take it. IBCP is a semi-canceling quality stock. It's an earnings winner. Earnings were at this session right here. Excellent trading since then. Extremely heavy above average volume, candle over candle hammer pattern right off the 50-day moving average, with BOP exploding to max green from an already elevated green level. IBCP, this is a no-brainer for me. It's 2% of my account capital. Limit order 2310. First cut loss level 2270. Not risking much at all before I know I'm wrong on half of it. And my final cut loss level is right there, 2230. I told you I'm keeping some tight stops. Normally, you might have seen me go one here, one here, one here, maybe one here even. But right now it's one there, one there. Super tight stops. This thing works immediately or I'm out. But just as a reminder, ANCX worked immediately. Another bank stock that I went long a couple days ago, EQBK. You can see that it's still working itself higher. I had an ad signal on UBFO. So far, that one is staying true. And on the defensive measure, even the new long TRTX is working. So until they all start failing, we'll still keep going with what's working, and bank stocks are working. So with IBCP, the new long, I also have an ad signal in HTBK. HTBK, if this green BOP bar would have been lower than this green BOP bar, I would have passed. But HTBK is an earnings winner on this day here. Has traded in a tight consolidation despite the weak market. I got a candle over candle hammer pattern with heavier above average volume with the surge in BOP to green. That's good enough to go based on IBPC, ANCX, and EQBK, along with Caro and GNBC. So do you see the confirmation, even though GNBC is rolling over now, but do you see the confirmation? So with that being said, HTBK used to be canceling quality, no longer is, so it doesn't get any allocation for that, but it did make my price volume BOP surge scan. So that would be 1% of my account capital. It's an ad signal. This is where I first went long, right here. So it's going to be 0.5% of my account capital. Limit order 1611. First cut loss level right there, 1583. Final cut loss level right there, 1534. In the past, maybe I have one here, second one here, a third one here, and a fourth one here. No, not now. One here, one here. It moves higher immediately, or I am out of HTBK. And then one more ad signal, APPS. Take this as an information only kind of post. So I'm letting you know exactly what I'm doing. APPS was in my Perfect Speculator scan. It was confirmed in my Green Bot for the past 20 days and Max Green Bot for the past 5-day scan. It's only going to receive asset allocation based on being in the Perfect Speculator scan, 1%. It's an ad signal, so it's reduced in half, 0.5%. So a little over $2,000 of my account capital goes into APPS, limit order 206. My first cut loss level, right there, 195. Final cut loss level, the last pocket pivot point, signal low, right there, 190. So once again, some tight stops. Where before on this ad signal, maybe I have one here, one here, one here, and then maybe I use all of them from my original signal because I'm still using one from back here. Now with the ad signal, it's just going to be this part. But this signal here, I still have 2 trailing stops split up between these 2 lows. And normally I would probably split up the ad signal between them all. But since it's an ad signal in a weird market, even though it's a great chart, doesn't mean jack this nice chart. It could easily fail with this weak market, especially if we continue to roll over. So 195, 190, limit order 206, 0.5% of my account capital. Anyone watching this video lesson, I recommend 0% of your account capital because APPS also has earnings next week. Now, once again, there's too many sell signals to go through, but I want to focus on one because it's an extremely overbought RSI 14 reading. I believe it has an RSI 14 rating of 82 following today's session. Anything above 79.50 will always trigger a 20% sell signal if that stock is being purchased, not in overbought territory already. QNST was not. It was purchased here. It is now an earnings winner. So what I'm going to be doing is selling 20% of my QNST position at the market at the opening bell on Friday. I am now splitting up. As of right now, I only had 2 stops before today's session. So I had one final stop here, and I had a half stop here. Now that's pretty low, even though it was going nowhere. I probably could have put a third one here. So to be honest with you, I probably should have done that. But I just never did look at the stock because BOP was higher the session before, volume was below average, and with the good candle that day, I just ignored it. But now the next day, if I was being super tight, I would have had one here, one here, one here. As it is, just had one here and here. Well, following today's session, I sell 20% at the market on Friday morning. Now 1/4 of my stops goes here, 1041. 1/4 goes here, 1/4 goes here, and the final quarters right here. So I currently will have, after the 20% sell tomorrow morning, because I'm making this video Thursday evening, I will have 1/4 here, 1/4 here, 1/4 here, 1/4 here, and if things screw up, I'll start raising them. Now I got a ton of sell signals, but really quick, ESIO, this would be a 100% full sell signal. Your final stop should have been this low a day if you were still long. So at the morning, I was completely knocked out. Now technically, I named this a 50% sell signal day, but the long signal was here. If it would have gap filled and closed at 23.14, it would have been a full sell. But the mere fact that it failed this low right here, that was your tell to move all of your stops up if you did not already. Me, this morning, the stock gap below 23.19. Well, it didn't gap below. Yeah, it did. It opened at 22.84. So I was knocked out of the rest of the position at the morning. But if you're still long, oh my God, this is why you should use stops first off. But if you're still happen to have any position left, today's low day needs to be your final cut loss level. And then SDPI, I still have some shares as I had a final stop all the way back here. All of it gets raised up to this low. Hopefully everyone's out and or you didn't take the trade. RFP, this once again, thank God for stops. My final stop was right here. But I had profit stops, had half of my profit stops right here, had another quarter here, and then right here was the final quarter. So half here, a quarter there, ripped through them intraday, and then it ripped through my final sell stop for a loss intraday. But if you're still long RFP, maybe you should start using stops after you see a stock like this. Just know the kind of market you're in February. But if you're still long, today's low a day. KMG, I'm all out. If you're long, today's low a day. 1 cent below it needs to be where your final stop is. HDS, I'm already out. No matter what, this now needs to be your final stop. I'm just going to quit tracking it. I guess I could still consider this legit long position until it closes below here, but I was completely knocked out intraday here or here, I can't remember, and I'm just tracking too many stocks, so I'm just removing HDS from even my tracking list. OSTK closing below the low a day of the signal date, so that is a full sell signal with the rollover and losing the green bop. CVNA, this is a full sell signal. You now have basically 1, 2, 3 lower highs, 1, 2, 3 lower lows, even though it's super short term. It's a rollover from previous gains, and the low below the 50-day moving average is being violated with the stock showing a loss. So it's 100% sell signal if you're still long today's low a day. And then PLPC, my final stop was this low a day, knocked out intraday. If you're still long PLPC from the original long signal that was back here, I believe, maybe even back here. I already removed it, so I can't see it anymore on the tracking list. But today's low day needs to be your final stop. NVO, I was knocked out of all my shares. My final stop, I made this low right here. So 51.22 got down to 51.07. So I've been completely knocked out of NVO if you're still long. Today's low day should be your final stop. SAEX, I've been all knocked out. You should be too, but if not, today's low day needs to be your final stop. And that's it for 100% sell signals. I do not have time, nor do I want to go through the 50% sell signals, but I'll go through one really quick. CBMG, if you're still long CBMG, half of what remains needs to go to below today's low a day, and then you can either use this low or this low. I'm currently using this low, going to give it some room to work. CMC is below the 50-day, 20-day moving average, so that's got to go to below today's low a day. PYPL, I was knocked out of all of it intraday. I moved up all of my final stops to this low right here. If you're still long, even though it's a 50% end of day sell signal, I recommend moving all your stops to this low a day. And is there anything else? PETS, even though it's a 50% sell signal, I've been completely knocked out of it. I moved my final stops to this low here. I swear to God, half the stocks I'm tracking, I'm no longer long. I mean, it's insane. And then WUBA, this is also the other one I'm going to go through. It's a 50% sell signal end of day, but with the harsh selling, losing the nice green bop, the nice calm consolidation, the nice heavy volume rallies, with it now pulling back on heavy volume, closing near its lows every day, bop going not only going from green but to negative and getting worse each day. I'm moving my final stop that I had right here to today's low a day. So even if it closes below the 50-day moving average tomorrow and does not close below this low, it'll still be another 50% sell signal, but you'll know that I'm out. All right, everybody, I'm going to go and wrap it up. It's another long video lesson, but they're going to be long until the market corrects and I can get rid of these massive amount of long positions and then clear the room for brand new long positions that do trigger. If we continue on like we are, you're going to finally start seeing normal new positions updates. IBCP, the one new long position. HTBK, the real ad. APPS is a semi ad. That's a normal update. Not 7 new long positions, 3 ads, 5 new long positions, 5 ads. That's not normal. What you're seeing this evening is normal, but the market's not normal, so you have to be careful here. Cash is a position too. If you're a new trader and you're starting to see a lot of your gains evaporate, feel free to go to cash. You don't need to trade here. I just do it so I can stay in the flow. I use small account capital. I know when to put 20% of my personal capital into a single trade. I know when to put 10%. I know when to put 5%. I also know that when I like a signal, but when I keep my toes in the water, so I don't ever, I'm like, that's it, I'm not taking any more new long signals. Then the next new uptrend starts without me, and I'm left just being like, oh my God, what was I thinking? I'd rather take small positions, be wrong, rinse and repeat, reduce position size each time I'm wrong, and then when I start winning again, increase position size, increase asset allocation per nice trade when the market and when the stocks are lined up. Right now, we're in the start of February, third worst month seasonally for the stock market, and the price action of the indexes and stocks are confirming the poor seasonality. I never recommend fighting the trend. Short term it's lower, intermediate term and long term we're still fine. So be tight on your stops, not too tight, and be very careful with new long selections right here until the market turns. Until you start to see the market trending higher and breaking resistance downtrend lines, cash is smart here. I think I've already raised almost 20% cash So it's already starting to get up there. If I do not have any new long signals on an end-of-day basis, I'll be looking to try to day trade anything that's in play with the proper setups, and I'm really picky. So it's got to be good, and in this market environment, it's going to be hard to come by. All right, everyone. See you in the chat room Friday morning.